she goes, Daddy, can we please all get ice cream? I'm like, whoa, 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 we haven't had dinner yet. Like, give a beat here. And she goes, well, Daddy, just take out that plastic card in your pocket, give it to the ice cream shop owner, and we can get ice cream. It's that easy, Dad. She's like 4.
Yeah.
And I realized in that moment, yeah, we need to fix this. And so it brought us down this road of finding the best families in the world that raised the most incredible kids and grandkids. They taught them the best money skills. They taught them for their own success and wealth. They also passed on heritage and strong values and beliefs, the lowest amount of like mental health or divorce rates or addiction. And I was
Hmm.
like, okay, I want to find the best 100 families in the world. So I started this long journey to search the world for these people, not just the Green family from Hobby Lobby or billionaire incredible families that didn't ruin and spoil the kids and grandkids, but these are, just average, normal, everyday, great business people that just nailed it with the next generations. And we narrowed our search from about 2,000 to 100 people. And we deep dived for years with those 100. And we said, how'd you raise the kids? What'd you teach them when? We sat with their kids, we learned, we interviewed, we tried to glean all of the strategies from them, and then we were able to systematize it into a process.
This is the Business of Advice podcast, where we help good advisors become great business owners. It is great to welcome Scott Donnell to the podcast today. Scott is someone I just recently met. We'll talk a little bit about that, but a serial entrepreneur, author of a book that everyone is going to go buy after they hear this conversation. It's called Value Creation Kid, and is now working on a very cool app called GravyStack, which you're going to hear a lot more about also, which is focused on helping 50 million kids become financially literate. Scott, welcome to the Business of Advice podcast.
So good to be here, Cody. How you doing today?
I'm good. As I said, had a little surgery last week, but recovered from that. And I'm not sure why you have an appendix, right? I've found that it's a useless organ that doesn't do much. So mine's no longer here. So,
Yeah.
but
Wow, man. I'm glad you're back. You're healthy. You sound great.
yeah,
It was a great recovery.
it's amazing what they do these days. So, well, let's talk about speaking of amazing. I think some of the success that you're having. You know, we were introduced to a mutual friend, John Rulin, a few weeks ago, and talked. You've got this incredible background. So maybe take us back to 2011, then walk us up to GravyStack, Value Creation Kid. I know as we talk today, you're getting ready to speak in front of a large audience down in San Diego, and this is really blowing up. And I think part of the reason I was so excited to have you on is you're going to speak to what so many of our advisors really are all about, and that's helping people make better financial decisions. And this really being focused on kids. So maybe start with your background and take us up to where you're at today.
Yeah. Well, we live in Phoenix. I moved there in 2011 to marry my wife. So we are celebrating 12 years of marriage next week.
Congrats.
We've got 4 beautiful little kids, and my wife was a first grade teacher for the first 5 years of our marriage, and she spent her whole paycheck on her students the first year. And I said, "What are you doing? You make $38,000 a year. How are you able to give an entire paycheck to these kids?" I know everyone listening has these types of stories. Anyone who's in the education space or is married
Yeah.
to somebody who was like, they just do it because they're angels, honestly. And I said, well, that stops now. And so I ended up starting a company called Apex Leadership Co. to raise money for my wife's school through fun runs, teaching financial skills, teaching character traits. And it ended up growing extremely fast nationwide. So we grew it to the largest franchise, school fundraising franchise in America. We've raised over $500 million for schools. We've taught 6 million families now. And it's an incredible ride, incredible business growth, cut your teeth. But I'll tell you, man, every single school, 10,000 public and private schools we serve, no one is learning the financial skill. They're not learning the critical thinking, the practical skills to succeed. And that just started eating at me ever since 2011. Why is this not happening? And, I'll tell a quick personal story. There was one night, my wife and I are 10 o'clock at night, you finally get the kids down, and dishes done, trash out, you pick up the toys because you told them 17 times already to do it, and we pass out on the couch and we're just exhausted. And we had just come from dinner that night, and my wife and my daughter Reagan, at the time, young daughter, we were walking by an ice cream shop. And there, when you're walking through like the mall, we took them to dinner. We're walking by the ice cream shop, and Reagan, she goes, "Daddy, can we please all get ice cream?" I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we haven't had dinner yet. Like, give a beat here." And she goes, "Well, Daddy, just take out that plastic card in your pocket, give it to the ice cream shop owner, and we can get ice cream. It's that easy, Dad." She's like 4.
Yeah.
And I realized in that moment, yeah, we need to fix this. And so it brought us down this road of finding the best families in the world that raised the most incredible kids and grandkids. They taught them the best money skills. They taught them for their own success and wealth. They also passed on heritage and strong values and beliefs, the lowest amount of like mental health or divorce rates or addiction. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I want to find the best 100 families in the world. So I started this long journey to search the world for these people, not just the Green family from Hobby Lobby or billionaire incredible families that didn't ruin and spoil the kids and grandkids, but these are, just average, normal, everyday, great business people, that just nailed it with the next generations. And we narrowed our search from about 2,000 to 100 people. And we deep dived for years with those 100. And we said, how'd you raise the kids? What'd you teach them when? We sat with their kids, we learned, we interviewed, we tried to glean all of the strategies from them, and then we were able to systematize it into a process. There's 23 tools that we
Mm.
teach on in our program, our workshops, and that's what actually ended up building GravyStack. And so GravyStack is the world's first bank for kids and teenagers that plays like a game. Because what I've learned in the education world is that kids only learn in 2 ways: by having fun and through real life experience. They don't learn about money through homework. You can't learn about money through homework. You can't learn about money through getting an allowance from your parents. That's socialism, actually. Getting free money from parents that
Mm.
kids don't need to learn how to spend mom and dad's money. What
Mm-hmm.
they need to learn how to do is earn and create value and be able to cover expenses in the home that mom and dad start passing off. That is the creating value mentality that all these families did. So we just built that right into GravyStack as an automated process. So we're just taking the best lessons of these families. And I can go over the top 3 strategies today with you. But that's really what built this whole thing. And we're starting to see incredible transformation. We just launched, we've been building it for 3 years. We're a few months into launch, and families are just jumping on board like crazy. So that's why we're doing this.
Well, so, and I know we're going to jump into, some of the maybe lessons that were learned along there, but you said something before we even started that I just think will speak to so many people listen to this. Obviously, it's a lot of financial advisors, but I would say also a lot of entrepreneurs. And I think a conversation that I have with a lot of those entrepreneurs is how do we not spoil our kids, right? As we've built this business and done all this hard work to build it, I think everyone wants their kids to have maybe an easier life than they had, but there's that healthy tension between you want them to have it a little easier, but you also don't want them to miss out on the lessons there. And you just said something, and maybe you can speak to this for people that are listening that always have that kind of battle going on of like treating your family like you would treat your business. I thought that was a great insight, maybe just to kick off. Then we'll talk about the book and some of the lessons too.
Yeah. Our biggest thing is that um, families need a plan with their kids. Um, your most important business is not the one you go to at work every day. Your most important business is the one that you come home to. It's your family. And if you start thinking that way, you will start thinking differently. You will have a plan. You will have a strategy. You will help your kids. The tagline of the value creation best-selling book that I wrote is the healthy struggles your children need to succeed. And so here's what I've found helping all these millions of families. Parents start from a place of love. They say, I just want my kids to have all the things I never had. I want them to have all the opportunities I never had. I don't want them to deal with the things I had to deal with coming up. Well, how do you think you became you, man? And so out of love, they do this, but the results can be disastrous. Now, we don't want you to pass on trauma. Don't pass on abuse and neglect and all those generational issues. But what you want to do is create a system for your kids where they're going through healthy struggles so that they can learn capabilities and then gain confidence to then create value in the world. That's the point here. And so we just give the roadmap, because when it comes to kids and teenagers, there's a very specific way they need to learn, especially about money and practical skills, making it part of real life, making it part of like fun in the family. Those are the critical things kids need. And the first strategy, maybe I'll just hit the first strategy.
Let's do it.
The number one strategy of the best families, and this is why the book is called Value Creation Kid. The number one strategy is to teach your kids to create value in the world, not money. Value first, not money. Okay? This is actually the best way to keep your kids from being spoiled and entitled and anxious and victims and lazy. Okay? You teach your kids about value first. Money is just a store of value. Okay? If you just want to give your kids this idea of here's how you get rich, they're not going to connect the right tools and values of the family. What you need to talk about is, all right, I want to teach you kids a lens to look at the world and find ways to create value all around you. And value is not just material value, which the result is money. There's three types of value that we train. The first one is material, solving problems, finding wants and needs, creating material value, what you create and produce in the world. The result is usually financial benefit.
Yep.
The second type of value is emotional value. Emotional value is how you think and feel and help other people think and feel. That is how you become a great friend, right? That's how you get captain of the team, right? That's how you build great relationships throughout your life, is how can you add emotional value to the people around you? It might be the rarest commodity of them all, by the way. And then the third type of value is spiritual value. Spiritual value is how you lift other people and yourself to something greater, to God, right? To me, as a Christian, Jesus is the best source of spiritual value ever known to man. But so was sending a man to the moon in the 60s, right? Was it JFK that said, we're going to send a man to the moon and bring him home safely by the end of the decade?
Yep.
That was arguably the last time our country was so united. It brought everyone together for a common mission and a common goal. You can do this in your businesses. When you bring people together and lift them above themselves to something greater, to add value in the world, everything changes. And so when you give kids this lens, it is the best form of parenting out there. Forget all the gentle parenting or free range parenting or helicopter parenting. Forget all that. Value creation parenting is actually the win, because what it does is it gives kids opportunities every day to go through these healthy struggles. And we have 90 of them in our book. Healthy struggles, business skills, soft skills, emotional skills, practical skills, life skills. Any academic or athlete knows what I'm talking about here. Going through healthy struggle. Then you learn capability. And then with that capability comes confidence, immediate confidence, right? And that's where all the mental health issues can get fixed. And then that creates value. So that's our value creation cycle for kids. Healthy struggle brings capability, which brings confidence, which allows them to create unending value in the world. And when you do that the right way, your kids are set up for a lifetime of success. They have agency. They have the power and the responsibility to run for the rest of their life. And that's how you keep them from being spoiled. That's the trick.
Scott, talk about maybe the driving force behind the book, and then maybe a little bit of the difference between the book and then GravyStack, the app, also, and what you're doing with both of those. Because everyone who has kids should go pick up the book. Obviously, there's a ton of lessons there, but GravyStack's another tool on top of that came out of that.
Yeah, so we actually call it the GravyStack method in the book. GravyStack is just the practical application of the book. Our goal was, how do we get kids to create value, right? And use it through money skills. And so GravyStack is the world's first bank account that plays like a game. And so the kids, they get their account, they have 100 games that they can play. That's a bunch of real life challenges. It's a bunch of core skills: how to earn, save, spend, share, invest, how to protect themselves safely online, how to borrow, the issues of borrowing, the benefits, creating value in the world, and the skills and the traits. So there's 100 games in here that are real life challenges that they can complete with the family to up level themselves in the game. And then you have the banking side, which we completely reimagined banking here. We're showing the flow of money, Cody. We're literally watching kids go through revenue streams in the home by doing home gigs, and it automatically goes into their save, spend, and share jars, which are real bank accounts that show them the digital flow of money. You know, one of the issues that we saw was kids, when they move from cash to a card, which is most of the world is going digital with
Yep.
Venmo and all these issues. The everyone says, "Oh no, my kids don't feel cash anymore." And so they're just going to spend wildly and they're going to be flippant. If you can show the flow of the money digitally, you can have the same effect.
Hmm.
So in our money machine, we call it, the kids are literally watching coins through going through pipes as they make money in the home and in the community, and then in their W-2 and their first service or product business. All of that works right there in the app. And then once they spend in their spend jar with their debit card, they're literally a red bubble pops out, and they see their coins go down and everything turns red and goes, and they see it leave. So they can feel that pinch of spending. So the GravyStack app is just the roadmap that makes it easy for families to implement the book. The book really focuses on, how do you give kids a role in the family?
Mm-hmm.
How do you create a last name that means something with your family to pass it on? How do you create the home economy system, which I'll go to in a minute? That's the second strategy of all these families. And then it's about going through the healthy struggles to help your kids continue to grow and add value in the world.
And that may be a good transition. One of the things I appreciate even from our conversation is this isn't academic for you. This is the approach you use with your own kids. So you talk about you don't give monetary rewards for grades, chores, but you use the method, and I know it's in GravyStack. So maybe talk about that, the 3 E's that you use around
Yeah.
that.
Well, when we implemented this with our kids, and they're young still, um, everything changed. And this is what those 100 families all do a version of. Now, they had to use whiteboards and, point systems and ticket systems and, sticker systems, and trying to figure it out and spend hours every weekend getting the boards done for their kids to do the gigs. But we just automated it based on all these families, and most of them use them with their grandkids now.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are investors in GravyStack, for goodness sakes, because they're like, "Oh, you just automated it for us. Now we get a printout for the fridge. This is brilliant." So the point of what I'm talking about is, 80% of Americans do allowance, and that does not help. Allowance is not helping kids create value. And there's 3 problems with allowance. The first one is, it's basically just giving kids money. And parents think they check the box just by giving their kids money every week. And that's basically socialism. The second problem is if they say, "Well, my kids do chores for money." Well, hold on a second. Half those chores you shouldn't be paying for. You should not pay your kids to make their bed and clean their room and
Mm-hmm.
brush their teeth and do their homework, and maybe even dishes and trash. You shouldn't pay for those things. And the other half, the chores, you need to pay specifically for the value created. If you clean the entire garage and sweep the entire garage, it should not be the same as somebody like cleaning a dish, right? Or, emptying the
Yep.
dishwasher. Kids need to understand different rewards financially for the value that they create. And then the worst is when parents say, "Oh, well, I don't pay my kids anything. They're the good kids that just do their chores like they're told." Well, congratulations, you have compliant children. But now you're paying for everything for them. You're buying all the sports gear. You're paying for all their food and meals and toys and tech and
Mm-hmm.
birthday presents for their friends. You're buying everything and they're learning nothing about how to make and manage money. Okay. And so those kids are going to be dependent on the bank of mom and dad until they're 30, maybe 40. Okay. So what we created was the home economy system. This is the 3 E's. This is how you raise financially capable kids. The first one, set your expectations. That's the first E. These are the things that you're not paying for that are expected of your children. And especially teenagers, this is a huge win, this process. You have, like I said before, make your bed, clean your room, dishes, trash, do your homework on time. First thing you do when you get home, kind of thinking. This is your role in the home. This is, if you want to keep our last name, this is what you're doing.
Yep.
Okay. And then the second E is expenses. Most parents fail on this one point. They do not pass off expenses to their kids early enough. Starting at age 6, we have 12 categories of expenses through all of our research and training and practical trials that you should pass off 12 categories of expenses by the time they get their driver's license. They should be covering all of those for hundreds of dollars a month. And that is, it starts with toys, trinkets, souvenirs, any technology they want to, use or games. Then it goes into birthday presents for their friends. How often did you or your wife buy the present, wrap the present, get the card? The kid just signs it and chucks it on the table.
Yep.
Never thought twice about it. That kid's not going to learn generosity or charity or sharing. What if that kid made the $15 or they made the $20, and after they saved and shared themselves, they can use their spend jar to buy the present for their friends. And you help them wrap it. Now they're going to go into that party. They're going to run up to the kid and say, open this right now. I got this for you. I want to see your face. That kid learns generosity for life. You see the difference?
Yep.
Then it goes into, obviously when they're older, social outings with friends, trips they would want to go on, even mission trips, right? Even clothes, extra sporting equipment. Those things should all be on the kids. Now, if you do this, now you have hundreds of dollars a month that the kids are paying for, not you. And you can use that money to pay them in the third E, which is extra pay. We have 55 gigs. We don't say chores because chores is a negative connotation with kids. You want this to be empowering to them. So we call them home gigs. There are 55 things kids can do all around the house for a few extra bucks. And depending on your level of income, it can be $2 to $5. It can be $5 to $20, depending on what they want to do. And you just create a menu of things that they can do 24/7 any day. We give you in GravyStack a printout for the fridge because all these gigs, they repeat daily, weekly, monthly. Their just automatic system is set up, and the kids now always know where to go to earn funds around the house. Okay. When our kids implemented this, they immediately went into value creation mode. Immediately. They never asked us again for anything. They didn't ask us for money, none of the gimmies and begging. We had no more conflict over chores. It was so much more easy and peaceful in the home. And we were like, what? This is incredible. Like, our kids are coming to us with new things they want to do to help around the house. Imagine that if you're a parent or even a grandparent. Teenagers, imagine they come to you, and instead of asking you for $30 to go out with their friends, they're like, hey, Dad, I have 4 things I'm doing right now. I just cleaned the windows, washed the windows. I just took care of the pool. I just went out and weeded for 30 minutes, and I swept the garage, and I swept the common area. Give me my 30. I mean, it's like unbelievable, right?
Yep.
All they have to do in our system, you don't need our app to do some of these things, but we made it way easier so you can do it for the long term. You just 2 clicks in the app and their payday's set, and they get an automatic payday every Saturday night, and you get the print off for the fridge on Sunday morning. So you can just throw it up there, and now it's just this easy conversation. And what we did is we solved the problem of, Mom and Dad, can I have this? Mom and Dad, I want this. I need this. Can we get this, please? Right? Because if you do that, it's a lose-lose. If you say yes, you're slowly entitling and spoiling them. If you say no, you're the bad guy. and it causes a break. Now, parents need to learn how to say no to their kids, obviously.
Yep.
But what we want to do is remove that whole situation altogether and create a deeper relationship between parents and children. So this is how you match the environment in the real world at home. And that's what kids need.
One of the things I told you is like, so many of the advisors that listen to this, I think you're probably, speaking a language they're going to understand well. A lot of them are dealing with people who are retired, who maybe like grandkids this would be great for. Any advice on how like all the advisors we work with can, obviously, I think the book is a great start in that the app, but how could they introduce this concept maybe with their clients, understanding the clients may be the grandparents?
Yeah. Grandparents are some of our best clients. So we are launching our family legacy workshops. We have our first cohorts going right now, and we have all 23 strategies of these best families in the world, 23 tools and strategies that we take people through in our program. And so the best way that they can connect with us is by just book a family design call with us.
Mm-hmm.
We will help their family specifically, and we'll take them through these tools to move the needle fastest with their adult kids, young kids, grandkids, doesn't matter. The tools apply to everybody. And so if they book a family design call with us, and that we can put a link in the notes for
Sure.
folks, or they can just go to Family Legacy Workshop, book a call. And I'd love to do a free training for all of your audience, because this is so
Cool.
powerful when they really get these tools. And then we have partnerships and affiliates. So they can get access to this program and be able to get a discount for all of their clients and all of their audience to be able to use these tools to grow. So that would
Cool.
be the best way. It's just start with a family success call, we call them, and we'll help train on these skills for your family.
Cool. Okay, I want to shift focus a little bit. Obviously, this is the business that you're building. It's not the only one. You also talked about Apex that you built, scaled up. Walk us through. You had said right before we started you have 60 presentations or speeches or stages booked now that you've got to go to here over the coming months. But talk a little bit about, as you've scaled and eventually sold off Apex, and now you're scaling GravyStack. What are some of the keys that you've seen as that business grows and scales to keep it moving forward?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a cat with 9 lives. This is my fifth company. I have a 7-figure exit, an 8-figure exit, a 9-figure exit, a terrible failure, and this is number 5. Um, I've learned a lot about creating a self-managing, self-multiplying company. Dan Sullivan is one of my closest mentors. He's my coach, and I went from. I'll take Apex as an example. We were 4.5 years into Apex when I found Coach, and I was miserable. I was wearing 9 hats, working 80 hours a week. I was about to get rid of the business for a couple $1,000,000 and go teach or something else, right? Coach, whatever it would be. And within 9 months of using the system, my company was self-multiplying, not just self-managing, it was self-multiplying. It was have you ever heard of the term the self-milking cow? It was
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I was doing, less than 5 hours a week. I was only doing my unique ability. I was loving it again, and everybody else on our team was happy. And that is really the holy grail of business, is having a system that's running and growing on its own, and you get to just add the value that you're uniquely gifted to do, right? So my value is I'm a bigger future enabler. I'm a visionary. I'm great at partnerships and training and speaking. And that's what I want to be doing here for GravyStack. And so as we've set up this model and built this app, which it's not a small app. I mean, it's a $10 million app.
Yeah.
It's a big lift, because we actually want to transform how kids learn right through the process here. And we're also reinventing the banking system here, because we want to think like kids think when it comes to money. And by the way, when you do this, parents learn along with them. The secret here is through the games, through the intuitive banking, the parents are learning just as much as the kids, even if they're doing great financially. They're realizing how to communicate skills and traits to the next generations, which is a very valuable skill. And they're learning a ton about insurance and taxes and real estate
Mm-hmm.
and investing and generosity all through the app. And so I think the biggest thing is, for if I could give advice to anyone in your audience, it's figure out what you love to do and what you're extremely good at that adds the most value to your business. And then you focus on how do you take that small window of what you do there and expand it to be your entire week. And then everything else you either eliminate or delegate or automate. Okay. That's the system for growing a self-managing company, self-multiplying company.
If you go back, we have a lot of advisors who've been through strategic coach and are disciples. Go back to that when you were ready to walk away from Apex. Were there one or two things like that moved the needle the most for you that you learned from Dan?
Yeah. The number one thing was the time system. So I just immediately I did an inventory of all the things I was
Mm-hmm.
doing immediately, and I got rid of everything but my unique ability and found people that were better than me at those things, that love to do those things. From a lot of the administrative work, the sales work, the operational work, um, trainers, tech, we were able to automate and delegate so many of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you start thinking about your time, there's free days, focus days, and buffer days, right? Free
Yep.
days are 24 hours where you do nothing related to business, do something that rejuvenates you. Focus days are your sales, biggest clients, biggest opportunities. You focus only on that because it builds momentum. And then you have buffer days, which are kind of like back office, catch up, doing all the tasks, learning, things like that. When you batch your days like that, you're so much more efficient. You're so much more valuable to your company. And it just moves everybody in the right direction. So those were some of the best ones.
Yeah.
And then I think for me personally, because of my unique ability, I was able to have freedom to create when that became self-managing. So it went from just Apex to all these other companies, to all these other opportunities to help millions and millions more people. And if I am just freed up to do that because I'm not exhausted from doing 9 jobs at the same time, I can create more value for more and more people. My wife we have a goal. We want to help 1 billion people through our companies. And GravyStack alone is going to help 50 million families succeed. And we also want to give $1 billion away. We're big in the anti-trafficking world. There's a huge need there. It's a disgusting industry, and it breaks our heart. And so whatever we get from GravyStack and our businesses, we focus on helping free children. So that's why, because we really care about kids all over the
Yeah.
world. That's our calling and that's our mission in life. And so we're not just helping kids become successful through GravyStack. We're using the proceeds to help fight kids that are enslaved all over the world that
It's
need
cool.
help.
Let me ask you a question about one that's very cool, very awesome. I think probably part of the reason you're having the success you are is you have this bigger purpose, and I think the business will continue to be blessed. But let me go back to a very specific question. Everything you said, I think most people realize that's what you have to do to grow and scale a business, right? Eventually, you have to be able to focus on the things you're best at, delegate out these other things. It's also probably the biggest challenge I see most entrepreneurs make that step through. It's the difference between the ones that do it and scale like crazy and those who just kind of mire in this like level of not being able to break through is that ability to delegate because you're so used to, when you start a business, you're doing everything, everything that's going on, you have your hands on everything, but to be able to scale it, you've got to be able to delegate that. Any maybe lessons learned or just tips that you have on how to do that well, because it's such a big challenge.
Yeah. Um, I think it honestly comes down to pride. A lot of entrepreneurs think the only way to do this right is to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's actually a failure in training. When it comes to your children, think about this for a minute. All discipline stems from a lack of training. This is another one of our 23 strategies we train for our workshops. All discipline it comes from a lack of training. When you have to discipline your kids, it's usually because you didn't train properly. And if you can focus on the training and the systems and what you expect of your children, discipline just goes way down. The same is true in business. What you measure matters. What you count, the way you track things is where your energy goes in the business, and it's all about systems. So I would say this: the number one shift that happened in Apex was deciding to franchise the company.
Mm.
When we, and I didn't realize this until years later, we decided to franchise the company because I believe that local business owners that are experienced will do way better than some 23-year-old that gets like plopped in the middle of Virginia, okay, to launch our markets across the country. And it worked wonderfully. To this day, it's still growing. After we sold the company, it was a
Yep.
30x EBITDA multiple sale. It was incredible, but it's still growing exponentially with the new owners. But when we franchised the business, we were forced to put the business in a box. Every single piece of the business became a process. It was documented. There were checklists. There were videos training everybody on every single little step. So I spent a summer creating a 150-page training manual with over 100 videos for anybody to take our model and replicate. And that system is still used today. I mean, 10 years ago, they're still using my sales training.
Mm-hmm.
They're still using our setup for pep rallies and fun runs and follow through and sales channels. Like when you document and create processes for every aspect of the business, somebody else can take that playbook, implement it, and then make it 20 times better, or 20% better rather, every time they implement it. That's how you create this. That's how you do it. And we were forced into it by franchising.
Yeah.
I think every business needs to do that and act like you're going to franchise it, and
That's great advice.
your trusted friend from college is about to take your business and copy and paste it somewhere else, a brand new place. If you can do that in your business, it will scale without you very quickly.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, I want to ask you another question that we didn't prep this one, but you and I were talking before, and you said that you have all these presentations coming up, and you'd actually just spent some time with a mutual friend of ours, Pat Quinn. As I shared, Pat's actually in our office today, ironically. So just you and I were talking about how good he is at helping people master their presentation. That's what he's in here helping us build some tools out for our advisors. But just anything that you learned from your time with Pat. Obviously, you were already a really good presenter. You spoke on a ton of stages, but you said even he was able to help you like really pinpoint some things.
Yeah, Pat is a genius. I mean, he is so good, and he was a math teacher turned
It's
magician,
crazy. Yeah, yeah.
turned world's best speaking coach, I think.
Yep.
And in a couple days, he took, I've been ranked top on the stages I go on, but what he showed me was you need to cut out 50% of this stuff. You need to focus. You need to go deep. You need to really deliver these specific things so that they can walk away. Number one, practical. They can use it today and immediately implement. Create value first, which is my whole training.
Yep.
Create value first. The best business people in the world, they know how to create value first. But he said, but after that, what you need to do is make sure people can understand that they can implement these things. They can do short-term changes in their life by implementing what you teach. But long-term, they couldn't imagine doing it without you. So if there's anyone listening, if you are talking or training or speaking or sharing your message with an audience, you need to do two things. One, add value in the short term for their life that they can implement over the next days, weeks, months. But long term, you need to be able to present in such a way where they realize that they couldn't imagine doing all of it without you holding their hand through it. Which is why I've started to talk about our trainings and our workshops.
Yep.
We have 23 strategies. It's a secure home run to be able to establish your legacy for generations to come. And legacy doesn't just mean a bunch of money. In fact, the third piece, which we need to get to before we finish here, is we believe that inheritance actually goes the other direction. But that's what everybody says you should do. But I say, no. Your family needs inheritance more than they need an inheritance. They need heritage more than they need an inheritance.
Yep.
That's what I want to train people on, and that's the skills and the tools we give them. So Pat helped us organize all that and frame it. He looked at me and he goes, this is incredible, but you're missing out on 90% of the actual value that you provide to people by talking the wrong way.
Yeah.
And that just can see right through it with people.
Well, it's I even saw it this morning. I was training some of our team that how you use words and the language you use and being very thoughtful and specific on it makes a huge difference. And yeah, he's good at it. So I'm excited to see just what that presentation looks like afterwards and the impact you're able to have. So, okay, I know you've got a stage you do have to go speak on. You're actually down in San Diego as we're recording this. So let me hit you with some lightning round questions here at the end. Just I ask everyone these at the end. Just curious to get kind of quick answers, kind of first thing that comes to mind, if you're good with that.
Let's go.
Okay. I'm just going to go back to the start of COVID, but I said COVID, I think, made leaders rethink a lot of things. But is there one lesson that you feel that you learned over the past few years that you're going to carry forward for the rest of your life?
Wow. Yeah. Let me just share this for a minute, okay?
Yeah.
I think this will really help the audience. And Pat Quinn helped me do this. It's the story of the two trees in my front yard. All right. A couple years ago, right when COVID hit, we moved into our brand new house that can fit our four kiddos and dream house. And like everybody, you have to get new carpet, paint, get the furniture, and new landscaping. And we hired the gurus in our landscaping. And they put in this perfect plum tree in the front yard, the front right side of the yard. And they got the perfect soil. They propped it up perfectly right. They got the watering system right. And they nailed it. It was a beautiful small tree. And they left. Next day, my wife goes, yeah, we need another tree on the left side of the yard. And like every husband, I'm like, I got this. I'm a handyman. So I go and I do everything I thought I was supposed to do. I grab the plum tree seedling. I get what I thought was the right soil. I grabbed a shovel. A few hours later, the tree's perfectly set up. Well, do it yourself, Dad. I'm pretty proud of myself. Well, a week later, started to notice some changes. The good tree, perfectly straight. My tree started to lean a little bit. The good tree, perfectly green. My tree started to get the end of the leaves a little bit crusty, a little bit brown. Fast forward a few months, my tree is leaning at like 13 to 14 degrees off. The good tree is about 5 feet taller, right? And now, years later, it's 3 times as big as my do-it-yourself tree. The number one thing I realized during COVID was I need experts in my life. I want to find the best in the world, regardless of finances, because it's not an expense, it's an investment. I learned the difference between thinking of as life as expenses and thinking of life as investments. Investing in your kids, investing in your business, investing in the experts. You need an expert, especially when it comes to your family.
Yep.
You can do it yourself, but kids are like seeds. You're planting them, you're growing them, and you're not going to know how you did for decades. Okay. So, and you have a window of opportunity with your kids to get it right, to train them in the good habits before they learn bad habits inevitably in the world. So that's why I learned during COVID, I find the best in the world when I want to do something right. And I just go all out to get to them. And that's why we do what we're doing. So you need an expert, especially with your family.
That's great. I like it. Okay. Second question. What is the one thing that you did that graduated you from being a good leader to great?
The number one thing I think that we did was we brought in people that we gave them a roadmap to earn our trust and to take things over. My belief is that you should never retire. I think retiring is like telling God to take the parts back. But what you should do is get away from all the things that you don't like or you stink at, right? You should retire from all those things and just focus on your unique ability. And so when leaders go from good to great, they are absolutely honed in on what the biggest value that they can add to the world is. And then they find people as they try as hard as they can to give other people the responsibilities in their business. Dan said something to me last year that changed my life. He said, Scott, what if your purpose as an entrepreneur is to give other people a purpose for their unique ability?
Hmm.
What if that's your only job as the entrepreneur? And it completely changed our hiring, our recruiting, our training. It changed everything for us. So now I actually do believe that every position in our company, I will find people that are going to be 10 times better than me in that position. That's
That's
the
good.
thinking that a good to great leader needs.
That's good. Yeah, I realized as I tried to sit home the 2 days after surgery that I would be a terrible retiree. It's just, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to pull that one off. So, you were talking about that a little bit about just that growth as a leader, but is there something that you're doing to drive your own personal growth and development this year that you're excited about?
Yeah, we just joined. So masterminds, I think, are an incredible tool to grow you.
Yep.
Um, Being around, you are the closest five people in your life. There's just all the studies show that. But you want to get into great masterminds, great communities. Advisors Excel is unbelievable. I mean, your reputation does precede you, by the way. Like not
Thank
just
you.
from John and Pete but I've heard your name in so many circles because you guys do it right. You have an incredible community.
Appreciate that.
And that's what I think every entrepreneur needs to start thinking of is where are the rooms around the world that will grow me the fastest?
Yep.
That's really the thing that I learned is it's not about money, it's an investment, and I want to be in the best room. So we're actually in Wellspring with Pete's group.
Yeah.
I'm in the top group of strategic coach. We're in a few other groups that really I'm building our own with our family legacy trainings of the best families in the world. We're literally handpicking them to come into our community, and it's all about faith, family, and finance. Like let's crush it with our families, and been an amazing experience for
That's
us.
cool. Yeah, I would say it's the one thing I see consistently too. Just constantly putting yourself in those environments to be around other great people is huge. Okay, fourth question. Can't be your book, although everyone will probably go pick your book up after this. But is there one book that you've recommended most to other entrepreneurs, leaders, business owners?
Besides the Bible, the expected one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Bible is the living word of God, the best business ever created, the best mission ever launched. The Bible is full of unbelievable wisdom. But I would say, other than that, there's a book by Keith Cunningham called The Road Less Stupid.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's literally like Bible for business owners.
Yep.
Like 100. Here's what you do in this situation. Here's what you do. He talks about thinking time and really how to have all of the answers are in your head if you just ask the right questions. And so it's really about being thoughtful and having great thinking time. So that book, I have ripped that book apart many times. There's one more book I would say that people may not know about. It's the Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg.
Mm.
BJ is a good friend, and that book was like the number one best-selling book on Amazon last couple years. It is an incredible book to create any habit or system in your life. He talks about MAP, motivation, abilities, and prompts to help you hack
Mm.
anything in your life, whether you want to just floss every night or do push-ups every morning, or if you want to set your business up and move your customers across the action line. Like it's an incredible book. I've ripped that one up as well. So those are
That's a
two.
good one. Yeah, Keith is great. He actually, we have some small group masterminds that Keith helps facilitate for us here, and he's just he's an incredible person. So, okay, final question: what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
If it doesn't point to Jesus, there's no point.
Good one. Not much to add there. So,
Nope.
good one to end on. Scott, I appreciate the time today. I mentioned the book, Value Creation Kids. People can go buy it. Amazon, I guess, probably the easiest place to pick it up. And also the GravyStack app. I know it's on Apple. I assume on other platforms also.
Yeah, if people want to get a free month, we'll give a link to you guys to send
Okay.
to everybody. But anyone who comes to our free trainings, we're doing free family legacy trainings. We'll give them 30 days for free in GravyStack just to get in there and start building. Average kids making their parents like $1,000 in the first couple of months, so it's a good
Nice.
ROI. But yeah, if they want to type in Elevate 23, just type in those words, Elevate 23 when they get the app right now if they want. we'll give them a free month right there using that too.
Perfect. And then what's the best way for people to follow, stay in touch with you?
Yeah, just I'm Scott Donnell all over different socials. They can follow me there. And then if anybody wants to have us come in, we do workshops, we do trainings, we do stages. Happy to come speak to your audience and train them up.
Awesome. Scott, I appreciate it. If you would please share this episode with others that you know would benefit from it. I say this all the time at the end. Our world needs more great leaders than ever today. So please go be great. Scott, again, thank you for the time.
Thanks for the time. Thanks, Cody.